Hartford's number one for hip hop and R&B. It's the Beat of CT. My name is Jenny Boom Boom. Of course, my co-host DJ Michi is here. What up, Michi?
What's up, Jenny? How you doing?
I'm great. And today we have Allison Gamber, who's the executive director for the Cove Center for Grieving Children with us. Hello, Allison. Welcome.
Hey, Allison.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Now, I have to admit, because, you know, me and Michi, we were off the grid for a little while. We were home, and it looks like you're home as well still. Are you working from home?
We sure are. All of my staff is still working from home. Yep.
Yeah. So when we got back to the station and we were actively in the studio, I heard your commercial.
Oh, you did? Wonderful.
For the Cove. Yeah. On my show. So thank you for advertising during the show. But anyway, like it kind of threw me off, the commercial. And I'm going to tell you why. I've never heard of any facility ever being dedicated just for grieving children.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? I mean, unfortunately, we have to exist because, you know, children experience grief all the time. But it's pretty amazing the work that we do and how we can help these kids really turn their lives around.
So I know that right now the angle is, you know, if you've lost someone due to the pandemic, but how long have you guys actually been in existence?
This is actually our 25th anniversary.
Oh, wow. So you guys have been around that long.
Absolutely. I know. It's amazing. People have either said that they've used our services or they've never heard of us. It's not anything in between, like, oh, I think I've heard of you guys, or it's either one or the other. And the families that have actually used our services are all the time tell us, we can't believe what you've done for us. These adults that went through our program when they were children, we don't know where we would be without you. We don't know what our lives would look like at this point without the support that you've provided.
Wow. So 25 years ago, what was the thought process behind starting the Cove Center for Grieving Children?
So 25 years ago, well, actually it was longer than that. There's three founders for the organization: Renee McIntyre, and then Marianne and Jim Emsweiler. Okay. So Jim Emsweiler's first wife died suddenly in their car. She had a heart attack, and his children were with them. Renee McIntyre married a widower who also lost his wife and left them with three children. So they came together, they all met, they knew each other, and they said, you know what, their children were suffering after the deaths of their parent. So they needed to find something to do. They needed some services. There were supports for adults, but there was no support for the children. And the children were grieving, and they didn't know what to do with them. They would say that, time heals all wounds, and the kids will be fine. And the kids were not fine. They were not okay. They needed help. And this is what they came to discover. And they started what was the Cove Center for Grieving Children back 25 years ago. It started with one location in Guilford. And now we have 7 locations across the state, and we're continually expanding our services.
Wow. So where exactly are those locations?
So we have one in Guilford, Meriden, New Haven, West Hartford, East Hartford, Easton, and Stonington.
Wow. That's great. It's right in our communities.
Right.
It is, absolutely. And all of our programs are free. So we don't.
Okay, hold on. Because that was going to be my next question. Like, what kind of insurance do we need? Like, how does this thing work?
It's all free. We don't go through insurance. We're not therapy. So it's not like when you schedule an appointment with a therapist. We're not therapy. We are a peer-based support group system that is led by a clinical social worker. And then we have volunteers that help facilitate the program also. So our main program is called our Family Program. And that meets for 20 weeks from September through June. It's every other week for 2 hours. And you apply through our website to apply to the program. We do vet every family to make sure that it's an appropriate time for them to join us, because if it's too soon, it may not work as well for them. And if it's, if the relative is too distant, it's not the same as some of these kids who are grieving the death of a parent or a sibling. So we really have a vetting process for it, but it's free. You apply online, you can come to our program, and it's a 2-hour session where these kids and these parents do a lot of work. I always try to relate it to when you're an adult, you're supposed to bury your parents. It's just the way that works, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the grief that an adult has when their parent dies is pretty profound, and it impacts people in very different ways. But think about how you feel as an adult. Now, put that into a child. And when they lose their parent and their parent dies, and they need to build skills to be able to handle that grief and to deal with that grief. So essentially, in these 20 weeks program, we are teaching the children how to grieve in a healthy way.
Mm.
And it's all through art therapy based activities. So we get them to be creative, and then they're able to then start articulating and using, different language, and we teach them different words to put to their emotions and how to be able to grieve and talk about it. And then we also give the parents education too on what their children are going through and how to be able to help them in, again, a healthy way, because the parents are grieving also. Whether their spouse died or their child died, they're grieving just as much. And so they need that help to be able to help their children and help themselves.
So as a parent, I mean, I would have to say if my spouse passed, I can't, like you talked about the fact that you have to kind of hold yourself together for the sake of the kids. So it must be a great relief for parents to go there with their children and have some sort of guidance on how to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And the beautiful thing is with our program is that the families start all together, and they actually have a meal for the family. So it's one night that the parents don't have to worry about dinner, because usually the programs are in around Sunday evening, or one of our programs is on a Thursday evening. So we feed them so they don't have to worry about it, and they get to socialize a little bit and actually meet other, really look at other families that are going through something similar. So then they come together in a group, and they light a candle, and they go around the room saying the name of the loved one that has died. And that's the way that they open up their evening. And then the kids get to split up and go into, age groups, and they have volunteer facilitators that help them with their art therapy activities and to really start talking about their grief. And then the parents go with the social worker, and they get their own education. So they are split up, which is nice. So because oftentimes the kids don't want to upset their parents. They don't want to say something that's going to, see their parents start to cry. So they're able, and they know that, kids know that, they know how to turn that on and off. So they get the chance to express themselves and get support from the facilitators, while the parents are getting the support from the social worker, and they actually have their own time to process and to talk about it. And that's their support system.
Well, I can't believe this program is free. I'm sorry. I'm still like, wow.
Yeah.
I know.
Because
It's amazing.
I've attended therapy, and I know those bills can be pretty outrageous for the insurance company, even the co-pays. So, I mean, the fact that you guys are offering this really wonderful program is so great.
It's amazing.
It is. It really is. And, because it's free, and obviously we have to do a lot of fundraising, and it takes a lot to get this accomplished, and a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, but we're happy to do it because we see the impact it has on the kids. And, obviously with the COVID, we had to turn everything virtual, just like everybody else did.
Right.
And
Yeah.
June is when we usually end our sessions, our 20-week program. So, and they always have like some type of celebration in June, a picnic with, and we usually do a butterfly release. It's a ritual that to release the butterflies, to let it go, to say goodbye, and closing out our program.
Right.
So a couple of our sites they did a socially distanced picnic, and they everybody brought their own food, and they were actually able to see each other, and it was amazing. These families were just so excited to see each other face to face again, because they missed seeing each other. Zoom is great and all, and it certainly has served a purpose for this time, but there's nothing like the human connection and seeing somebody face to face.
Right. So how do families qualify for this program, though? I know there's got to be some sort of guidelines here, right?
Absolutely. So generally speaking, the death of the person needs to be the child's parent or sibling or a significant caregiver. So if your grandma is living in your house and they take care of the kids after school every day, because both parents work, that grandma would be a significant caregiver. Okay. So it has to be that close-knit relationship. On occasion, all exceptions to the rules. Grandma lives in Michigan, and they only see grandma once a year, then not so much. The other thing is they can apply at any time. but it has to be 3 months after the death of the person before they'll be accepted to the program. And I think they froze.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're here?
You hear
Oh,
me?
Jenny
Yep.
froze.
So Allison, I know that I'm reading your mission. So I know the mission is to provide hope and healing for grieving children, teens and families, and training for the professionals who work with them. But I know you spoke of COVID-19. So I know that you guys have a new program, right, as far as pertaining to that?
Yes, we do actually. Because of COVID-19, we started a program called Caring Connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that program essentially, well, it was started because we were having more calls coming into our office and that people needed help. Even people were even reaching out to us because their loved one is in ICU and they didn't know how to talk to their children about the fact that their parent may die
Right.
because of COVID and the fact that you can't go see them. And so there's people that really needed some support in that way also. So we were having more calls and we needed to do something to make it more formalized and really be able to provide support to these families.
Right.
So our camp director, who's a clinical social worker, we transferred her from camp because we couldn't have camp, and then she started this program. So when somebody calls or emails us and they need that support, regardless of who the person is that died, we can connect them, and she does an assessment to see what kind of services they potentially need,
Yep.
and to see how we can support them, whether it be our program moving forward or to an outside community support system that she can connect them to. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here to be able to kind of help connect families in ways that are as appropriate for them.
Right. Now, I know, just speaking of COVID, just like how you said earlier, with it being something that's totally different, obviously, with everything going virtual now and things like that, like, has there been any challenges as far as like with trying to connect with people?
Well, yes, because it's, Zoom, it's not as personable and
Right.
you can't, and that's been a challenge, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we were able to continue to offer it that way because, from what I'm understanding from all of my social workers, sometimes people weren't even talking about the deaths, the reason why they were there. It was everything else that was going on and how it was impacting their children and,
Right.
and them too, So it has changed. It changed the dynamic a little bit of our meetings, but it doesn't matter because we're here to support them for whatever they need. We are all grieving through this in one way, shape, or form.
Right.
We are grieving our loss of normalcy, our loss of, going to school, our regular routine, seeing our family and our friends on a regular basis. We're all grieving in different ways right now. And so we're here. We are here for any purpose at this point in time.
Right. Now, if you're listening right now and you wanted to volunteer, like, how do you sign up to be a volunteer for your program?
Oh, that's a great question. So you can go right on our website, which is covect.org, and there's a volunteer section. There's an application right on there. You can call us, you can email us, and we'll be able to connect with you. We are always looking for volunteers. About 90% of the way we operate is all through volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So at our sites, one of those 7 sites, we have one social worker who's paid, and everybody else there is volunteer. And there could be up to 10 volunteers at each site. So we need a lot of volunteers. And you don't need a special skill set. You just need to have a love of children and a warm and open heart, and we'll train you for the rest of the information that you need.
I was curious about that because you said there's art therapy programs. So do you have to, should you have some sort of skill in art though?
Nope. Everybody can be an artist. It's not about the art. It's about, and we're not drawing all the time. We're not painting. We're creating. So one thing that a lot of the sites will do is called the memory box. So each child will get a box. And this is actually, there's directions on our website, on our COVID-19 page. We have activities that families can do, and this is one of them. It's a memory box, and literally you get a tissue box, a shoe box, anything, and you decorate it in ways that make you remember the person that died.
Okay.
And then you can put different things inside of it, and then you can go back to it. So that's it's an activity that we all do at our Cove sites, but it's not necessarily about the art. It's about being able to create something that is in memory of somebody. So you did glue things, if you want to color on it, go for it. It's just about getting yourself into that mode of being able to remember somebody.
Right.
So you did mention that one of the programs that you have, but talk to me about the other programs that you offer.
So we also offer a camp.
Okay.
It's called Camp
Oh,
Erin,
that sounds
Connecticut.
that's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And of course, we had to postpone it this year. It's usually the last weekend in May, but we couldn't have it this year, and we're all very disappointed about that.
I'm
Um,
sure.
so it's a 3-day camp. It's an overnight camp, and we usually have about 80 kids that come, and they do a lot of hard work. It is a grief camp, so they do processing activities. They again learn how to grieve. They get to sit across from a peer that is grieving also, and of course they get to have a lot of fun too. They have a dance, and they get to go in the lake at the camp, and so they have a lot of regular camp fun too. But it is a grief camp, so they are doing a lot of hard grief work. And we have one paid staff for that, and everybody else is volunteers, and we have about 60 to 70 volunteers for that whole weekend.
That must be awesome too, because the kids can actually talk to other kids that are going through the same thing.
Absolutely, and that's probably the best part of it, is that because they feel alone when they're in the regular day-to-day life, and they don't know if somebody else is grieving the way that they are. So putting them in front of another child that they can connect with and share this experience is unbelievable.
I'm sure. And then I also know you have school-based programs too, which is pretty awesome.
Yes, so we can go into a school and we do a peer support group in the school, and it's the same type of model that we use with we have two volunteer facilitators that have actually usually do our family program. They volunteer for that too, and then they go in, and it's an 8-week program. There's a group of kids that get together, and we essentially are teaching them how to process their grief also, and giving them an outlet to be able to share that information and connect and put their grief into something more healthy and positive.
Mm. So how long is one of your programs? So if I was going through something similar and I had my family come there, how long is the program?
The family program is 20 weeks. So
Okay.
And it runs September through June.
Okay. Okay.
So essentially it's like every other week that they meet.
Okay.
And
Wow,
then
that's a long time to support a family. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It is. And a lot of times the families stay for, a couple of years, depending on where they are and how they're processing their grief and what kind of support they need. Some families stay with us for 6 months, and they feel like it's time for them to exit, and that's fine. And then others will stay with us for a couple of years. It just depends on their need.
Do you ever get these families that actually end up being volunteers afterwards because they feel that they want to be a part of, the Cove Center still?
Absolutely. And that's where a lot of our volunteers come from, or from past families, or we have, some social workers that just volunteer anyway because they want to give back to the community. But yeah, absolutely. Those families that have gone through the program then come back to volunteer are amazing. And a lot of our volunteers have been with us for 10, 15, 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Our social workers have too. Most of them have been around for over 10 years.
Must be a nice place to be.
Yeah.
They love what they do. These people have hearts of gold, and they are just all about making sure these kids have that support that they need. I mean, it's quite remarkable when you do have people stay, especially volunteers. I mean, if you're getting paid for your job, that's one thing, but to have that connection, and those volunteers have been around for such a long time, and then the new volunteers that come in, they just tell us how unbelievable it is and how rewarding it is for them to be able to see the kids change over time, and that what they're doing really is making a difference, and you can physically see that in these children.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I would assume, I'm sorry, Mitra, go ahead.
Hmm? Oh, no.
Okay. I would assume that it would give you a sense of peace being there and knowing that you're doing such great work.
Absolutely. And that's what, the volunteers are always, they come to the office for one thing or another, or they call, and they always have a new story. They have a, something remarkable that happened at the last meeting, or some child had a breakthrough and actually started to talk about their feelings where they weren't doing that before. And for them, it is just, you can just see their face light up when they tell you and they talk to you about it, how good it makes them feel and how happy they are for this child, because they find they're making progress and they can see it.
Mm. Wow. So as far as fundraisers, I know that you guys said, you guys rely on fundraisers in order to make this thing happen. So, can you give me some idea of how many fundraisers a year you have and how us as a community can help you?
Oh, sure. So, yeah, we fundraise just, to make sure that we can continue to offer our programs for free. So we had a gala that was supposed to be in April, but that got canceled.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Where's the gala? Where do you guys normally have it?
This year was going to be at the AquaTurf.
Oh yeah, I love it over there. It's so
Yeah,
nice.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
And so that got postponed. So then we ended up usually have an auction at the gala, and that ended up turning into an online auction, which was fabulous. But right now we actually have our 25 for 25 challenge going on, and we had a pool of donors and our board. They came together and they raised $25,000, and we're now challenging the community to raise $25,000 to match that.
Okay, well,
So-
Michi's got it in his bank account right now, so he's got you.
Come on, Michi.
Allison's like, bring it on, Michi.
Go on, Michi. You go right. I know you're on my website right now. Go on there and click that donate button. But anybody can do that. Anybody can go right to our website, covect.org, click on the donate button, and you can make a donation that if it's $5, wonderful. If it's $500, wonderful. Whatever you can do to support the Cove Center for Grieving Children would be absolutely amazing. We'd really, really appreciate it. So that's our annual program. But we also are supposed to have a 5K. And our family memorial walk in October. So we're in the planning stages of how that's going to look this year because of everything going on.
Yeah, things are a little messy right now, Allison. Yeah,
they are, and it's hard to figure out what to do. So we're in the planning stages of that right now. I think we're going to plan for 2 tracks, one an in-person thing and one a virtual option, just because nobody can predict what's going to happen come October, but this takes a lot of planning. So, so we're going to start now with that, but that's October 18th. And usually if it happens in person, it'll be, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, at Hammonasset.
Oh, that sounds fun. That's going to be nice.
Yeah. So, they've been doing that event for, I think this is our 22nd year doing our 5K and our memorial walk, and we also have a kids fun run with it. And it's generally when we have it in person, it can run like we want it to. We have about 1,000 people at this event, and it's just a great opportunity for people to come together. And we have a wonderful presentation at the beginning, and we have a moment of silence for to pay tribute to the people that have died. And it's just a wonderful event. So hopefully we can do something just as nice, even if it has to be virtual.
All right.
Sounds like you guys are doing such great work over there at the Cove Center.
We are. We really, really are. And we don't want to see a child grieving without support. We are here for everybody in the community. And again, our program is free. So
I really honestly never knew about this, and I think this is spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. And so we encourage people, we have oftentimes even friends of a family that are grieving will call us and say, hi, so-and-so's child just died. My friend's child just died. There's a sibling involved. What can you guys do to help us? And so we have all sorts of people communicating with us just to see if what we can do to help them. So I encourage people, please call us. We are here to support everybody, every child in the state of Connecticut. Find us, call us, email us. We're here. So I encourage that. It doesn't have to be the family that's experiencing the death. It can be a friend, another family member calling on their behalf just to get some information and get connected.
So this is the phone number that I have for you. It's 203-634-0500. Is that correct?
That is correct. We check our voicemail every day. Great.
So we'll put that up on our website so people know how to contact you. And what is your website again?
It's Cove, COVECT.org.
Okay. So whether we need services or want to volunteer or just make a charitable donation, we need to contact you like today.
Absolutely. Please do so. We are always looking for volunteers, for families to support, and certainly for donations because we can't do this without the community.
Well, thank you so much, Allison.
Yeah,
and I mean, this is just so great. Oh, I forgot to ask you though, the children's age range.
Right. Yeah. So we have children as young as 4 in our family program, and we take to 18.
Okay. Wow. That's great.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, and the other thing we have too, I forgot all about it, is we have an equine therapy program.
Really? So anybody that
Yes.
loves horses, this is a great thing.
Absolutely. And we have found that the teenagers really connect with this one specifically because the teenagers, sometimes we have a hard time getting a nice group in our family program locations just because it's a little, they're teenagers and
Right.
they don't want to do this. But connecting with the horses, and they do art there also. So it's equine and art based activities. So that's also available, and that information's on our website as well. So if anybody's interested in that route, instead of something more longer like our 20-week program, that those are shorter sessions, but it is phenomenal.
Wow.
Absolutely phenomenal.
It seems like you've thought of everything.
Well, I don't know about that, but I will eventually. We need to keep fundraising in order